everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Little Gym at Home. My name is Miss Amy from the Little Gym of Cary, and today's class is going to be Spotting Tips 101 for our parent-child age group. Now keep in mind, our parent-child program ranges from 4 months all the way up to 3 years of age. So we're going to be doing some general spotting. This is going to be great tips for parents so that when we get back in the gym, you're super comfortable and confident with your spotting skills. All right, let's get started. To get started, we're going to talk about what is spotting. Spotting is assisting somebody in completing a skill, and a proper spot prevents injury to the child. We want to make sure that we're always using the proper hand placement when we spot. That way we are making sure that the child is staying safe, but we also want to make sure that we're spotting properly so that we're using the right muscle groups. That way the child can learn the skill safely and properly. All right, parents, so we're going to get started with our first spotting. This is going to be for our BUGS program. BUGS, ages 4 months to 10 months of age. With this age group, we're getting them prepared for motor development. Our main focus is focusing on strengthening the arms and getting a full range of motion in the shoulders, strengthening the legs and getting a full range of motion in our hip flexors, and just overall building that confidence to get them ready to weight bear and eventually walk, crawl, and other motor planning skills. One of the activities we do at the Little Gym on our BUGS program is going to be arm exercises. So when you guys are spotting these arm exercises, what you're going to do is spot them over at their upper arm, at the elbow area. And this first exercise is called a chest stretch. So a chest stretch is where we go in and out, in and out. And notice that we're making a full range of motion here in those shoulders. The next exercise is called a shoulder stretch. Same spot. All we're doing with this one is going up and down. You can also do a butterfly. That's where we flap those wings and really get some resistance there in those shoulders. Keep in mind that if your little one is resisting, that's awesome. That just means they're getting a super extra workout, just like Sparkles here. All right, moving on from those exercises, we can also do a arm circle. So arm circle forwards, arm circle backwards. Both really get a full range of motion in those shoulder joints. Hey, if your little one gets a little bit of fussy too, that's okay. What you can do is kind of bounce them on your knees as you do these exercises too. Keep in mind with these exercises, parents, we want to make sure that we're sending a positive message, giving them lots of smiles. If they see that you're happy and enjoying these activities, usually they'll be pretty happy too. All right, and moving on to the leg exercises. Doing our leg exercises, this is a great way to work on rotation in the hip flexors, as mentioned before, but also a great way to help with digestion for those little ones. Now, the way that we're going to spot your child with this one is we want to be spotting them at their shins for exercises such as the knee bends. So a knee bend is where we bring those knees all the way to the chest and extend the legs all the way out. Have a nice little grip over those shins right underneath the knees for them to bend and straight. You can also do alternating knee bends, one knee then the other. A couple ways that we can really stretch those hip flexors is called the hamstring stretch. So this one is stretching those hamstrings on the back of the leg as well as those hip flexors. That's going to be where we bring our toes to the nose, trying to keep those legs straight and continuing the same spot at the shins. We can also do a straddle, and this is a fun one, parents, for you guys to play some peekaboo. Peekaboo and straddle. Peekaboo and straddle. So keep in mind with those leg exercises, we're going to be spotting at the shins. All right, moving along, we're going to go ahead and introduce some spotting tips for our parent-child program. This is going to be now for all age groups of parent-child, which is 4 months to 3 years. These are going to be the basic skills that you see in our Little Gym program each and every week. To get started, we're going to talk about jumping. So we're going to talk about assisted jumping for your little one. This is for somebody who is not yet jumping independently just yet. How we do this is we spot them at their upper torso. So the upper torso just means that we're spotting them underneath their armpits right there. And we're going to encourage them to jump up and down. Now with this activity, I encourage you guys not to lift them up too high because we want to really encourage them to bend their knees and push through their toes independently. So just little bounces, making sure those feet are hitting the ground every time. That way we're getting that tactile feel and they're able to push through those toes. Good job, Miss Sparkles. So that is assisted jumping. All right, moving on to our next skill, we're gonna talk about the wheelbarrow. The wheelbarrow is an awesome skill that we start even from our young bug age group. This is a great way to introduce those shoulder muscles, getting them confident weight bearing on their hand, which further progresses them into more gymnastic skills. So a couple ways we can spot a wheelbarrow for a younger child, roughly anywhere from 4 to 12 months or so. You're gonna wanna try to do a heavier spot. This is gonna be where we spot them at their chest right here. So you can see. And then my other hand's gonna spot underneath and wrap around the hip area like so. A wheelbarrow is where we simply just weight bear on their hands. So I'm doing an extra spot here to really encourage Sparkles to weight bear those hands down. What you can also do, parents, is bounce a little bit. That way we're really getting some resistance there in their shoulders and encouraging them to balance on those hands. They can also start to walk on those hands as well. So that's the heavier spot. Now for an older parent-child friend, you're gonna wanna do a lighter spot at the hips. This way they're really using their chest muscles all by themselves and those shoulder muscles too. So I'm gonna spot Sparkles here just at the hips. Keep in mind, we always wanna spot in the hips, parents. When in doubt, spot in the hips. We don't wanna be spotting at the knees. We don't wanna spot at the ankles. What that does overall is cause those little backs to buckle. And again, the goal in spotting is to prevent injury. So what I do is spot at the hips. And same idea, what I'm gonna do is just hold Sparkles upside down, make sure that she's weight bearing on those hands. And again, we can either wheelbarrow in place or we can walk forward on those hands. All right, and then moving on, we're gonna do a forward roll spot. Now a forward roll is simply a forward rotation. When this skill is performed, what you're gonna be doing is putting your hands up high to the sky, hands down to the ground. You're gonna be able to push through your toes all by yourself. The main thing we wanna do here is make sure that our head is nice and tucked. We never wanna roll on the top of the head. We wanna make sure that we're always tucking our chin to our chest and rolling safely. Now, a heavier spot, again, for those younger bug and bird age group, what you're gonna be doing is doing a more of a manipulative spot. So what you're gonna do here is you're gonna get one hand underneath their belly as such. So right now I have my left hand underneath Sparkle's belly. This way my hand is free to really make sure that head is gonna safely tuck. So I make sure those hands go down, and then we're gonna teach Sparkles how to tuck the head. So my hand just simply goes on the back neck, nice and gentle. From there, I roll Sparkles down onto the ground to perform her forward roll. So again, I'll show that spotting underneath the tummy. Hands go down, spot the head, tuck, and then find those hips to finish the roll. For a lighter spot for an older parent-child, all you're gonna do is spot them at their hips. Again, when in doubt, spot in the hips. And then they should be able to safely tuck that head to perform a forward roll. Another great way to teach them how to stand up to and really use those tummy muscles is by holding those hands, encouraging them to stand up and finish the skill. Now that we've mastered our forward roll, let's go ahead and move on to backward roll spots. So a backward roll is a backward rotation. What you're doing here is extending those arms out. You're using your momentum from your tummy muscles to kick your toes over your nose and land safely on your feet. Now, with a parent-child age group, all we're doing is just simply getting them comfortable with going backwards. Keep in mind, going backwards can be a little bit more intimidating than going forwards just because we simply can't see where we're going. So what you're gonna do first is just kind of get your child comfortable going backwards. So I'm gonna hold on to Sparkles a little bit and just kind of rock her back and forth. Make sure you're always checking in with your little one, making sure that you're smiling and providing that positive message to them. Awesome job. All right, so after that, we're gonna get right into the skill of the backward roll. There's actually a couple ways that you can spot this, and neither are right nor wrong. They're both proper spotting. It's just kind of a matter of preference. So In a backward roll, you're gonna lie your little one down. Now for an older child, a super beastie age of 2.5 to 3 years, what you're gonna do is try to encourage them to put their hands down. So their hands are gonna go by their ears, fingers facing their shoulders. Sparkles is a little bit of a younger parent-child girl, so she's not gonna keep those hands down for me just yet. She's gotta grow up just a little bit. But again, for that older child, try to get those hands down, stay on the ground. From there, what we're gonna do is, again, I'm gonna take my left hand here. I'm gonna wrap it around Sparkle's hips, over by her belly. The next hand is going to grab Sparkles at the ankles, kind of like a diaper change. And what you're gonna do from here is just simply bring those toes to the nose, and a 1, and a 2, and a 3, backwards roll. So as you can see, my hand did not leave her stomach there, because what we're doing here is encouraging her to straighten out those arms, catch yourself with those hands, and then stand up safely. So again, spotting across the tummy, 1, 2, 3, backward roll. All right, and another way you can spot this one is you're gonna be facing your child. And again, when in doubt, we spot in the hips. You guys got it, awesome. All right, so for this one, I'm gonna put my thumbs on Sparkle's back, and then fingers are gonna go on the belly, just like this. And what we're gonna do from there is we're just gonna simply lift the hips up. Sparkles is gonna catch herself with her hands, and then we're gonna encourage them to land safely on their feet. So again, both are proper ways to spot a backward roll. It's kind of just a matter of preference. Hands on tummy, thumbs on back, fingers on tummy. Up, catching herself with those hands, and landing safely on their feet. And that is how you properly spot a backward roll. All right, now this next skill is the one where I always get lots of wide eyes from parents. This one is called a back whoop-dee-doo. And yes, the spotting may look a little bit tricky at first, but I promise once you keep practicing it and getting the hang of it, it's super fun, but it's also super beneficial to your little one. Keep in mind this back whoop-dee-doo you can even do up to age 5 or 6 with your little one. A back whoop-dee-doo gets your child comfortable with that backward rotation, gets them comfortable going up to new heights, but they're also learning how to catch themselves on their hands and land safely on their feet. This is one of my favorite skills. I'm so excited. So a back whoop-dee-doo parents, what you're gonna do is have your little one on your shins. Now the key thing I always say in my class is make sure that your thumbs are facing down. That's gonna make that spot so much easier for you guys. So as you can see, I'm finding Sparkles at the hips. Again, hips, thumbs facing down. My fingers are on her back. What you're gonna do here is just simply roll backwards onto your back, and you're gonna bring your little one over your shoulder. Try not to go over your head. It's a little bit easier if you just go over a shoulder, like such. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I'm rolling back. I'm reaching Sparkles over my shoulder. She's catching herself on her hands and either landing on her knees or her feet. Again, that is a back whoop-dee-doo. Child on shins, thumbs facing down, fingers on back, and 1, 2, we up and over our shoulder. Awesome job, everybody. All right, you guys have been doing an awesome job keeping up with these Spotting Tips 101. We're gonna go ahead and move on to balance beam spotting. But wait, Miss Amy, I don't have a balance beam at my house. That's okay, I don't either. What we can do is either get some painter's tape and make a straight line across, or I have a little broomstick here that I'm laying down for my little one to walk across. Now, balance beam skills, this is a great way to work on balance and coordination. Walking forwards on a balance beam requires a lot of control in the core as well as the hip flexors, but overall balance beam just gets us confident in trying new skills as well. Now there's a couple ways that you can spot a balance beam. For my younger friends that are gonna be about the bug age group, all we're doing is simply weight bearing on the balance beam and just kind of getting them comfortable. So what you'll do is go behind your little tape line here, and having something like a broomstick really works on a little bit more sensory because they can feel that broomstick underneath their feet and get that tactile feel. Now when you're standing on the balance beam, you're gonna wanna start with a heavier spot, which is gonna be here at the upper torso. And then from there, you just kind of lower your spot down to the hips. That's gonna require a lot more control in our core. Now the lightest spot is gonna be at the thighs. So spotting at those thighs, underneath those hips. This way, Sparkles is using her tummy muscles all by herself and really working that core. Now you can do the same thing sitting down. And just remember, the lighter the spot, the more Sparkles is working her core. So upper torso, hips, and then finally the thighs. Awesome job. We're gonna go ahead and move on to walking on the balance beam. Keep in mind, walking sideways is actually easier than walking forwards to get started because it doesn't require as much control in those hip flexors. Now, to encourage your little one to walk sideways on a beam, I do recommend getting started on a broomstick or on a piece of tape. You can also use a rolled up towel too. What you're gonna do is start by spotting your little one across the upper torso. See how I'm giving her a big hug from behind? This way I have a free hand to encourage the first leg to step and the second leg to slide. Keep in mind, this is also a great way to work on galloping and start introducing galloping for your little one. Step and slide, step and slide. Now for my older friends, you may notice that they're starting to problem solve and they'll be bringing that second leg in all by themselves. So again, that's how we go sideways on a balance beam. To finish out, we're gonna be showing how to walk forward on a balance beam and encouraging a lighter spot. So walking forward on a balance beam, you're gonna start at that upper torso for a heavier spot and encourage them to walk forward. Now, instead of lowering the spot for a lighter one, you're gonna wanna go up a little bit higher to their elbows. So see how I'm kind of gripping those elbows there? That's gonna be a lighter spot to work on more independent walks on the beam and work on hip flexor control and core control. Awesome job, Sparkles. And that was some of our balance beam spotting tips. All right, and what child doesn't love ball time? With balls, not only is it great for hand-eye coordination, but it's also great for balance and core control. Who knew? Here's a couple things that you guys can do. One of those tricks being having your little one go on their belly and work those little back muscles. So what you're gonna do here is lie your little one on the ball. You're gonna spot them at their torso and just simply rock back and forth, back and forth. Not only is this great for our core control, but this is actually a dive forward roll progression. You're making them weight bear from their feet and move forward to weight bear on their hands, which eventually leads into a, you guessed it, a forward roll. Another skill you guys can do is have them sit on the ball, and very similar to what we did on the balance beam, you're gonna have them sit, bounce a little bit on the ball, working our core and leg muscles, and again, lowering the spot. So starting at the upper torso, then spotting down to the hips, and then finally spotting down to the thighs to really encourage them to use those tummy muscles all by themselves. See how Sparkles is wobbling a little bit? Just gotta tighten that core. And those are our ball spotting tips. All right, everybody, thank you guys so much for joining me for our Spotting Tips 101 for our parent-child program. I hope you guys can use these skills at home, and I hope this answers all of your questions that you've had about spotting throughout our season at the Little Gym. If you guys have any further questions about spotting or skills, please leave a question down below in the comment box. If there's any skills that you've noticed that we've done in class but were not shown here, let me know as well too, and we can do another video demonstrating those skills and spotting. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and we'll see you on the next Little Gym at Home video.